We're covering a dream on awakening, and dream work is a lot of what I've done for many, many years, but I haven't covered a dream about the awakening process in well over a year. So we're covering a dream that I'm calling the final face-off. And if you're in your own awakening process or even post-awakening, going through the integration process, you'll be able to relate to this dream. The final face-off is about the persona, killing off the shadow, and then killing itself. So I'm going to read to you this dream that somebody shared with me just recently. He said, I had this dream last night. I'm in a dark cabin, circa 1800s. There is a man lying on his bed, on his back, and his face is covered by what appears to be a leather face shield. He's either hurt or wounded, and I take it that he's probably wounded. There's another man standing at the foot of the bed, and without warning, the wounded man who's lying down on his back methodically draws a pistol from his side and he shoots the man at the foot of the bed. Then without hesitation, he puts the gun to his head and shoots himself. I remember his head shifts to the left in an apparent surrender to death. Now, this ended up feeling somewhat very obviously disturbing and conflicting to the dreamer. So what we have here, if you're going through your own awakening process, shadow material is going to show up. It has to, because really the awakening is the unraveling from the conditioned self. And it's really a purging, another way to put it, it's a purging of the unconscious. And this has to happen. This is part of the integration. Once you get a glimpse of your true nature, once you really realize that you are not the body-mind apparatus, that this is a vehicle in which pure awareness or true nature or shared being, whatever you want to call it, is looking through this apparatus, through the physical senses, having this experience. Once you've had that glimpse, and the awakening is going to continue, usually, to deepen and open. Now, you might re-identify with the separate self, and then for a while you fall back to sleep. But with enough willingness to surrender the attachment to the body-mind, to the ego, the awakening will continue to deepen. And this is a process. And great part of this process, one of the biggest tools we can use to help this process along is your nighttime dreams. And that's why I'm covering this. Not only do I work with dreams regularly as a Jungian counselor, but I've been working with dreams since I was 16 years old. So it's been a huge part of my own journey. This dream, okay, we've got an old dark cabin circa 1800. So this is about really old stuff, right, coming up for the dreamer. He's just observing. He's just witnessing all that is happening, just like you witnessing through this apparatus, your pure nature, your true nature is witnessing what's playing out in the world, right? It's noticing that your thoughts and feelings and your bodily sensations, and it's taking in everything that's happening, right, in this so-called world, which is really a projection of our own mind. But you're in witness mode. When we move into witness mode, we move into neutrality. So this is a very powerful place to be in during the awakening process. It's not the ultimate place of recognition of your true nature, but it is a very helpful place to be in as you're waking up. Now, the man lying on the bed that the dreamer is witnessing, he's on a bed, and being in a bedroom situation on a bed often denotes intimacy and vulnerability. And he's got on this really thick, not just like a rubbery mask or a thin leather mask, it's a hard shell of a leather mask. So we're talking about a lot of development of the persona, so while we're asleep, before we awaken from the sleeping conditioned self, we develop a oftentimes very thick mask. We develop this persona, this personality that learns how to maneuver through life. We do need to know how to maneuver through life, but the persona can become extreme to where we lose all recognition of our true nature. We learn to conform, we learn to please, we learn to defend and protect ourselves. We learn to build a scaffolding around our heart from because we've been hurt in the past. I mean, the persona learns very cleverly, very brilliantly in many respects, how to not just get by, but often how to thrive in this world. But it's not who we are. It has nothing to do with our true nature. So in this dream, he's watching this man lying in a bed with this thick mask on, and the man lying in the bed picks up a pistol because he sees another man at the end of the bed standing up looking at it. So just picture that. Man lying on bed, mask on, looking at a man at the end of the bed, looking back at him. We've got two huge archetypal symbols, two big archetypes. When you think about Carl Jung's teaching from a Jungian perspective, the shadow and the persona archetype, oh my God, there's just so much wrapped up in these two archetypes. Not to mention the self with the capital S, which this all leads to. Working with the persona, working with the shadow, leads to transformation and the recognition of the self. But in this dream, you've got two big archetypes here showing up in this dreamer's dream. And just think about your own dreams and what's showing up right now. If you're going through the awakening process, trust me, there is shadow material coming through dream time to help you understand where there's some obstacles that we need to wake up to or wake up from. So, guy lying on the bed with the mask picks up the pistol, shoots the man standing at the edge of the bed or the end of the bed looking at it. Now, what we're looking at in this dream and talking to this dreamer, getting more insight, the man at the end of the bed is the shadow looking back at the persona. And the shadow's just standing there quietly. And what is the shadow? The shadow is almost like a container, like an invisible container. It's not tangible. It's like an invisible container that is filled with all of this repressed material. All the things that you don't like, that you hate, loathing, self-loathing, that you were taught it wasn't okay to feel or to behave. All this stuff gets pushed into the shadow. Spiritual bypassing makes that shadow bigger, bigger, bigger. And things that you really do have, that things that you possess that are stellar, that are light-filled, also often get pushed into the shadow, because we're taught things when we're growing up like, don't get too big for your britches, and it's not okay to be really happy, and suffering's okay, but joy isn't. I mean, and things like if you're really feeling good about the truth of who you are and that joy comes out, it's like you're taught that that's being selfish, or just all these programs push all this material, the so-called bad and the good, into the shadow. And we're carrying this with us every single moment, every single second. So here, the persona with the mask shoots the shadow. And then after he shoots the shadow and all that repressed material, the persona shoots itself. I just love this dream. I mean, as horrific as it may sound, it's a really powerful dream. It is just oozing with transformation. I made some notes about this, and what I said was this dream is a call for wholeness, because this is showing where the shadow needs to become integrated. Whenever we're dealing with shadow material, and it can be it's combustible, it's powerful, it can be very challenging, very tricky to work with. But what we want to do is we don't want to judge anything in the shadow. We don't want to judge anything, period, about ourselves or another, because that stuff gets pushed into the shadow. What shadow dreams like this are about is always an invitation to integrate those aspects that have been pushed away, have been like cut off from ourselves, that we've disowned, to integrate, allow, to make room for them at the table. Where have I been pushing away my anger? Where have I been feeling like it's not okay to be really vulnerable? Where have I been holding on to the belief that I shouldn't grieve or be in any kind of pain? Or where am I stuck in maybe in anger and I've been taught that it's really not okay to be happy? I mean, they're all beliefs, basically, and it's a lot of repressed emotional material as well. But that gets pushed into the emotional body, which is a whole nother topic. But we want to integrate. We want to integrate. The persona, the mask, is so ticked off at the shadow that it shoots it. So what it's saying is that this shadow material, what I wrote down was that there's a breakdown between the persona and the unacknowledged shadow, which is prompting a reckoning. A reckoning. It's a wake-up call to examine the image that is present, that we keep showing to the world, and how out of sync it is with our inner truth. And so when the shadow is violently shot, like it was in this dream, it's a dramatic attempt to break free from the limitations of an overdeveloped mask. And it pushes us to confront and integrate those hidden aspects. So the persona has become so thick, the mask has gotten so dense, so hardened, that it's wanting to get rid of the shadow, any more parts of the shadow controlling it. This really is an invitation. It's the persona that we carry around with us saying, I am sick and tired of feeling controlled by all this shadow material. I'm going to no longer allow it to control my life. I'm tired of wearing this mask, so I shoot myself. This isn't really about taking suicide literally. This person that had the dream isn't depressed. This person is definitely in the stages of awakening and has been for some time. So it's important to understand all of that. But when we're encountering the persona in dream time, so persona, if you're just having a persona dream and the shadow isn't showing up so obviously, persona dreams show up like other characters that you identify with. It might be an actor, an actress. It could be a character from a book. It could be these different characters that you're not related to or in relationship with, but they're characters that have some significant meaning for you. When you have those kinds of dreams, we're talking persona. We're talking mask. We're talking developing a different image than what you had as a little tiny child, developing an image that you think you need to carry in order to get by, survive, thrive in this world, which is a world of people walking around, right? 8 billion of us with masks on, right? That's when you know persona is coming up in dream time. That's one of the ways. It's not always this literal where somebody's showing up with a mask. Shadow material shows up in many, many different ways. But in this dream, it was pretty obvious that this was shadow. But so what we're talking about in this dream and during the awakening process is a call for wholeness. All dreams really are a call for wholeness. But when you're waking up, that really is what the whole awakening process is about. It's about dropping everything that is not authentically you. And by you, I don't mean you and your personality or you and your name or you and your history or you and whatever character you're playing. I'm talking about you, true nature you, true unconditional loving true nature you God self. I'm talking about the real core being that you and I are. So if you have any dreams that pertain to anything around your awakening process, Any dreams around shadow, any dreams around persona, I would love to hear from you in the comment section. And if you're doing shadow work, I have some good resources I'm happy to connect you with, even some good books and people who really know shadow. If you want to work with somebody, I help people work with shadow. I mean, in all of the work that I do with people, shadow's always coming up in some way, shape, or form. But there's all kinds of resources. You don't have to do this alone. And sometimes we need help understanding our dreams. So if you need any kind of support, reach out, send me a comment, or if you have a question, send that and I'll respond when I can. All right. So this is a dream about transformation. The awakening process is all about transformation, but not transforming the person. It's the dissolution of the persona. It's the dissolution of being identified with a person and knowing that this is just a character that we're playing. We're dreaming this, right? We're dreaming this. And that the whole thing is waking up to your true nature. Thanks for listening. Namaste.